Cultural diplomacy cases from Ukraine. My name is Volodymyr Sheiko. I am Director General of the Ukrainian Institute, and in this short video I'm going to talk to you about some notable cases of cultural diplomacy of Ukraine. As you may know, in this year, in 2019, we are celebrating the 100 years of the Ukrainian cultural diplomacy. Because in January 1919, the Ukrainian Republican Chapel, led by famous conductor Alexander Koshyts, was established by the government of the Ukraine's People's Republic to promote Ukrainian music culture around the world, and the chapel actually toured extensively over the next 5 years to all the continents and achieved universal acclaim and great press coverage in all countries. The first 2 years alone, the chapel did over 200 concerts in 45 cities, and it was the first attempt of the first Ukrainian state to establish its international image and achieve acclaim and recognition of the Ukrainian state in very difficult and extremely difficult historical conditions. As a result of this tour, Ukrainian song Щедрик, written by Ukrainian composer Mykola Leontovich, became a worldwide known tune known as Carol of the Bells, which is still sang at Christmas all over the world. The first Ukrainian state with this tour showed how cultural diplomacy can defend the country's independence and promote its positive image around the world. And nowadays, 100 years later, Ukrainian cultural managers continue to build positive image of Ukraine and establish cultural links with other countries. And we're going to talk about a few cases which I found most interesting. The first project I wanted to talk to you about is called See Ukraine, and is being organized by DocuDays, International Documentary Film Festival. And since 2016, it has taken place in 6 cities across Europe. See Ukraine is not just about screening documentary films. Of course, it includes films, but also exhibitions and discussions, and it creates a very much needed context for the films that often describe the today's reality of urban and rural Ukraine. And quite often, the events of See Ukraine take place in unconventional spaces in different cities. Several iterations of See Ukraine have tackled very difficult topics of decommunization, of different social challenges, of the reality that Ukraine and the rest of the world is facing in these very challenging times. Such events are very valuable because they not only project a positive image of a country internationally, but rather create a very honest and open platform for dialogue, interaction, and people-to-people discussions. And the next case I would like to highlight is the world-famous Ukrainian band Dacha Bracha. It was formed in 2004 by Vlad Troitsky and the Dach Theatre. Using authentic Ukrainian tunes, Dacha Bracha shows how traditional culture can be transformed through music and blend in with the world musical scene. In recent years, the band traveled extensively around the world, across all continents, and participated in different music festivals such as WOMAD in Glastonbury in the UK or Sziget Festival in Hungary. It now does over 100 concerts annually and is probably the most well-known Ukrainian band in the world. Another great case of Ukrainian cultural diplomacy comes from the literature background. Over the past few years, Ukraine started to participate in major international book fairs in Paris, in Frankfurt, Leipzig, Bologna and London. International prizes strengthen the presence of our writers and artists in the world. For example, in 2018 alone, Tanya Malarchuk won the most prestigious literary prize in Austria, the Ingeborg Bachmann Literary Prize. Felix Austria by Sofia Andruchowicz was nominated by Jean Monnet Prize in France. And Volodymyr Rafeyenko was awarded the Visegrad Fund Literary Prize of the Eastern Partnership in Slovakia. The triumph of Serhiy Zhadan's Internat novel and the award that was given to Agravka, Ukrainian design studio, gave them a lot of commissions and attentions from publishers around the world. Of course, it's not just about visible achievements, and because the literary sector needs some invisible but very important work to develop and to be able to project itself internationally. And that, of course, includes workshops, translation programs, and state-funded publishing programs that enable Ukrainian literature to be translated into other languages and published overseas. Another bright example of cultural diplomacy comes from the domain of the archive films. The Alexander Dovzhenko National Center is the largest Ukrainian film archive, and not only does storing films, but it does restorations, research, and presentation of these sometimes unknown and unrevealed films to both Ukrainian and international audience. In 2018 alone, the Dovzhenko Center undertook some 29 projects internationally that presented Ukrainian avant-garde silent films and other archive films to international audiences. 57 Ukrainian avant-garde and archive films and retrospectives were presented last year by the Dovzhenko Center, and the biggest of them was the retrospective of the late Ukrainian film director Kira Muratova, whose big retrospective took place in Bonn, but also at the Yale University and at the Buenos Aires Independent International Film Festival. Of course, there are many more projects in the domain of cultural diplomacy organized by the Ukrainian diaspora internationally, Ukrainian communities, other activists, and of course the national institution based here in Ukraine. But now there is a brand new institution that takes a more strategic and holistic approach to cultural diplomacy, and of course I'm talking about the Ukrainian Institute where I work. It's a new institution which is affiliated to the Foreign Ministry of Ukraine, and our aim is to bring Ukraine and the world closer together through culture, education and language, and we would like to make Ukraine more exciting and visible on the cultural map of the world.